This story will cover from then to now and next, all about change, how to turn losers into winners. This will not be the famous flight of the bumblebee, but the gentle flight of a white butterfly. In fact, a privileged butterfly's point of view of our changing countryside and how humans and wildlife can coexist. Through the seasons, from early spring to late summer, from up high to low down amongst us. We'll see how insects have come to use flowers and vice versa. With tempting targets and attractive tastes. How butterflies have to find the right food plant for their eggs, in the wild or in your garden, like cabbages and nasturtiums. And of course a mate, vital for the future of all Britain's 56 or so species of butterfly. Will become a white butterfly as it searches gardens, meadows, hedges, tarmac, veg plots, villages. It can be a journey of life and death, grabbed by birds, trapped by spiders, sprayed by cabbage lovers. This safari will take us up there and down here, and is based in and around a typical village, Chew Magna in Somerset, on the gentle River Chew. A great tit eats insects, and so do flycatchers. Nuts are easier, though he spotted the white by the stream on its rounds. Pink flowers, to white ones, to yellow ones, iris, to dandelions. It takes energy to keep moving on, and it gets that from the flowers that can provide it. But it's a bit of a vicious circle of survival. Snake's head fritillaries, cowslips, bluebells, in a garden managed for wildlife of all sorts. Meet a winner here, a male orange tip, an enthusiast for wild garlic and lady's smock at the most productive time for him, in April and May. But there could be competition in the bushes. The territory to protect, he's a bit twitchy when the wandering white drifts by looking for nectar. it's seen off and the speckled wood returns to his vigil. And the male orange tip, perhaps slightly shaken but not stirred unduly, flies on for a martini of sorts, which come in yellow and pinkish white, and very nice. Now for another of the white family, the green-veined white, a drinker too, with antennae like radar, and a proboscis for that nectar. Right here in your garden are perfected performers of survival. Just look at the design of the bee fly, of which there are 12 species in Britain. A bit like an incredibly quick fighter jet with vertical descent, long proboscis for refueling, and very thin legs for perching on the most delicate of runways. In fact, miniaturized and much better than anything man could ever devise. He also faces a challenge like a butterfly does, apparently vulnerable as it risks its life every time it negotiates the jungle, that is your garden. The common butterfly looks as if it's had a rough time in the bushes or from a hungry bird, but its wings always look tattered. From black to tortoiseshell, nectaring on ragwort, a useful weed perhaps. This small tortoiseshell has been damaged, but it seems to have enough spare wing capacity to whiz on over the yellow canopy of ragwort. A skipper has also skipped in for some periwinkle juice on its unusual wing design. Our white has found the waste ground plus ragwort behind the pub. It's looking for a takeaway too, and it's moved on to that popular refueling spot nearby, the old cottage, specially managed with insects in mind. Anyone can do this, and it can really make a difference as the countryside is being pressured more and more. Variety is the spice of their lives, whether it's a cheeky, very small fly or a comparatively tall meadow brown, equipped with a supposedly scary eye spot. Birds, please note, this is not the flight of the bumblebee, but our wandering white, past teasel flowers, their spikes and their pollinators. Some said bumblebees can't fly, wrong design, but who's wrong? So it's goodbye to the wild garden with its small coppers, blues and buddleia, the so-called butterfly bush. And onwards, on our white's flight, a butterfly safari. But there's other species of butterfly that can be a real nuisance to him. The speckled wood is still on guard at its territory, which will be defended fiercely if that's possible for a dainty insect. But it is. In fact, when two speckled wood males collide, it's up and away, across the treetops, past the stream, over the house, to another possibility which is not going to be good news for our white, or the owner of the carefully tended vegetable plot below. Juicy vegetables of all sorts. We're talking cabbage whites. Pieris brassicae is the scientific name, for these brassica devouring aliens from the skies, the large white. Not only is it looking for a suitable food plant amongst the salad on offer, but it's also searching harder and harder for a mate as the season moves on. There's competition over the veg amongst these strictly vegans, passing a non-vegan chicken abode. And on to a less personal place, actually a community farm, whose mural says it all. Insects and vegetables, all sorts, living in these polytunnels. Busily pollinating away are various kinds of bumblebee, attracted to the flowers in here. And certain species of parasitic wasp could be here too, and they inadvertently help man by laying their eggs in the caterpillars of large white butterflies, a pest. And that's just what this white is looking for, the right leaf for the job. And it could well be a nasturtium leaf, specially planted here to help the wasps parasitize and control their living prey, the caterpillars. Beauty and the beast, you might say, but this community in Chew Magnus Community Farm seems to work out very well for all concerned. Except perhaps the large white, whose flight is temporarily delayed, but not as yet cancelled. A mate is now what's wanted, and as it leaves the fertile polytunnel, it moves on to pastures new. Across a meadow already cut for hay as the season moves on too. These corridors of life, hopefully left by the farmer, are crucial to many creatures and wildflowers. These living strips are vital connections where whites can meet potential mates. But out there now they can't, nor can bees and bumblebees, so essential to our own food supplies through pollination. Another kind of desert is all around us, tarmac. But our butterfly can follow a life-giving hedge on its continuing search for a mate. It needs refueling, and bramble, now in flower, provides the nectar. And a speckled wood, as ever, provides the opposition, defending its prickly territory, and it works. A possible mate? Well, it's worth a try. Could this be a hedge that leads to happiness? Over nettles, that weed. So important in butterflies' lives, especially the glamorous four, the peacock, the painted lady, the red admiral, and the comma. But it's full stop for our traveller for a moment's rest and a bit of sunbathing perhaps. Another hedge beneficiary is this agile neighbour. Compared with the floaty butterfly, the hoverflies and similar have to negotiate a vertical forest to reach the canopy of the cow parsley carpet which decorates the local countryside. And gardens help a lot. The hedge may lead the white to open areas where diversity flourishes. It's a rare sight these days, as pesticides and intensive farmings have taken a huge toll across Britain. But here at nearby Blagdon Lake is a classic case of unimproved meadows, as they call them. Back in early spring, when the first whites appeared, this was the scene, a carpet of purple orchids. Later came purple knapweed. With day-flying burnet moths. And the best was yet to come, a great variety of food plants for caterpillars, and later for insects of all kinds. So tarmac a problem, gardens a solution perhaps, and buddleia, the butterfly bush, is a mass of tiny florets, a magnet to many insects in fact. So away down the road, along the hedge, to where the human natives are friendly. Peanut country. But robins like insects as much as nuts. In fact, they're carnivores. This patch of periwinkles may look nice, but it hides a deadly spinner. Pretty flowers, but reality if you're a fly. In fact, a place like this, just outside your window, is a happy hunting ground for lots of spiders. But not so happy for our white, who comes floating by. This time the white wins, perhaps a little too strong for the spider and its web. Another bit of spinning will be needed. With the right variety of plants, insects will come buzzing to decorate your garden, or even a window box in the village. The amazing bee fly will amaze you, like a tiny fighter plane. And over the garden pond, which will attract more insects like dragonflies to become neighbours of the resident goldfish. Life at all levels of all sorts. the watchful speck of wood, to a bumbling bumblebee at lawn level, with our white's flight up to lilac. And on the buddleia, if you're really lucky, in summer, a Jersey tiger, the day-flying moth, now increasing in the south of Britain, perhaps helped by climate change and buddleia providers, you and I. A winner, that's good news. We began our story being one of the whites that we see so often from early spring to late summer, using all sorts of plants that they understand better than we do. And we followed that essential determination to find a mate and produce many more whites. And that can be a problem for farmers and some gardeners. They're all at it. By the stream, on the lawn by the house, down amongst the daisies. The single egg, one of many, which the layer leaves behind. That was the small white. The large white's eggs are laid in clusters on nasturtiums, for example. Amazing to think its story all starts here, as these tiny, perfect packages. Having eaten its way out of the eggshell, the caterpillar can pull itself up on a thread under the great green umbrella that is the nasturtium or cabbage leaf. From then on, it's eat, eat, eat. They do like their greens. The caterpillar turns into a pupa and overwinters. Vertically attached by silk, it emerges as the perfect butterfly next spring. To start that fascinating flight all over again.